For nearly 3 decades, the internet has had an opinion about her body. Every photo, every red carpet appearance, every paparazzi shot has been picked apart by people who never once asked what it actually felt like to live inside all that scrutiny. She's finally answered that question herself, and the answer is far more painful than any tabloid headline ever let on. Jennifer Love Hewitt has been working in Hollywood since she was 10 years old, but it was her breakout roles in the late 1990s, in films like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Can't Hardly Wait, that turned her, almost overnight, into one of the era's defining young sex symbols. She said plainly, looking back on it decades later, that she became a sex symbol before she even understood what sex was, and that she still isn't entirely sure how to define that part of her own identity, because it started so strangely, so early, and so far outside her own control. For years, she carried that image without it seeming to cost her too much. Then, in 2007, everything shifted. Paparazzi photos of her in a bikini during a beach vacation with her then-fiancé went public under a tabloid headline demanding she stop being called fat. She was, by any reasonable measure, an ordinary size. Hewitt has said she'd simply been having a genuinely happy day at the beach, singing a silly made-up song to her partner, completely unaware she was being photographed at all. Seeing the headline afterward broke something in her that had never been broken before. She has said directly that she doesn't believe she was ever truly insecure about her body until that specific magazine cover, and that she has never fully recovered from it since. What she did with that pain at the time revealed something about her character. Rather than retreating, Hewitt spoke out publicly, insisting that a woman's body wasn't a public referendum, and defending not just herself but every young woman who might see that headline and internalize the same cruelty. It was an unusually direct pushback for an actress at the height of an image-obsessed decade in celebrity media, and it turned an ugly moment into an early, unlikely statement about body image at a time when few stars were willing to say it so plainly. The years that followed weren't without their own struggles. Several film projects were critically panned, and for a stretch in the 2000s, Hewitt found herself unfairly labeled among the industry's most maligned actresses, despite a strong and loyal fan base. Behind the scenes, she said she quietly dealt with anxiety and exhaustion, a byproduct of childhood fame that had trained her for long hours on set but never for the specific cruelty of constant public judgment. What's remarkable is how she describes carrying that single 2007 headline with her. Even now, she said there's a part of her that still wonders, before any public appearance, whether this version of herself will be considered good enough, or whether the same kind of cruel scrutiny is waiting around the corner again. That's a strikingly honest admission from someone who has spent almost her entire life in front of cameras. Today, starring on the drama 911 in her late 40s, Hewitt continues to face public commentary about her appearance, and continues to respond with the same steadiness she found back in 2007, telling critics plainly that she's confident in her own skin, even when the internet insists on having an opinion about it anyway. So the next time a photo of Jennifer Love Hewitt circulates online, remember what's actually behind it. A woman who became a sex symbol before she understood the term, absorbed one of the more brutal body-shaming moments in 2000s tabloid history, and still, decades later, is honest enough to admit that some wounds simply don't fully close.